Hi everyone, Sean Waldman with Secure Cyber Defense, and this is your Thursday video cybersecurity briefing. Well, there's a lot going on, so let's just jump right into things. Intel has recently released information on what's called Thunderbolt Spy Vulnerability. What this is, this involves laptops and desktops that have the Thunderbolt interface. So there's a vulnerability with Thunderbolt right now that involves if someone can get physical access to your device, there's some work that they can do to basically take advantage of the vulnerability, and even if your disk is encrypted, they can get access to the data. Now this becomes really important, especially for, well, not so much traveling right now because we're not doing a lot of traveling, but devices like laptops that might get left behind or misplaced. Right now there was not as much fear in anything happening with that device if the disk was encrypted. So there's some steps right now there's no patch or remediation for this device, but there are some things that you can be aware of that could mitigate the risk. So one is if you have Thunderbolt, you need to make sure that DMA protection is on. It's called kernel DMA protection. So we'll put some links in the description of the video to assist you with looking through that. But right now, there's no fix for it until Intel comes up with either we don't know if this is a physical chipset issue where they're going to have to do something from that standpoint, or if this is a firmware type thing where they'll come out with new firmware. This also just reinforces the age-old issue about cleaning crews and the type of access that they have. So this is one of those vulnerabilities that would allow someone like a cleaning crew person or someone that would have after-hours access to physically remove a device, have the work done, and then bring the device back. Just be very aware of people that have access, physical control into your environments. Make sure that their background checked completely. Make sure that if there are cleaning crews, make sure that they don't have the ability to just bring in people with them. Make sure you've got things like physical controls like swipe card and access and cameras and ways that you can go, if you need to, go back and figure out who had access to your building, those type of things. So just be aware. As we get more information, we'll report on this, but this is the Thunderbolt Spy vulnerability inside Intel. Cisco this week came out with some ASA fixes. There were some vulnerabilities that involved Web VPN and the AnyConnect client. Especially with everyone working remote, these were vulnerabilities that, if exploited, could allow someone to disrupt that remote access VPN. So if you're using Cisco ASAs for your environment, please make sure that you head out to the Cisco website to make sure that your device isn't vulnerable, and if it is, to apply the necessary updates to remediate that. So there is a patch available. WordPress, again, it's almost, I think, like 3 weeks in a row now we've reported on WordPress. So WordPress, again, has some plugin vulnerabilities. These are plugin vulnerabilities this time. So there's two aspects to WordPress if you're using it. So there's the WordPress platform itself that gets updates, and then any of the plugins that you're using, those are kept up to date as well. So just make sure that you're applying all the necessary WordPress plugin and platform updates and keeping that current. You might have to start checking back on that every so often, like maybe on a bi-weekly basis, just to make sure that you've got everything. This is involving the Page Builder WordPress plugin if you're using that. All right, and in other news, it is Patch Tuesday, actually Patch Thursday now. So Microsoft has released 111 fixes to vulnerabilities inside the Microsoft platform. This is one of the top three numbers of vulnerabilities that they're fixing. So noteworthy vulnerabilities that were patched. So we've got SharePoint, Microsoft Operating System, Microsoft Edge PDF, and Jet Database Engine. So in previous jobs, the Jet Database Engine actually turned out to be something of quite importance. So just make sure with any of these patches, especially seeing the Jet Database Engine in here, just make sure that you're testing any of these patches before you deploy them to make sure you don't cause some type of destruction to your environment. Adobe has also issued security updates for their products. This would be for the Acrobat and Reader applications, and as well as the Digital Negative Software Development Kit. Exploitation of these flaws could result in remote code execution, and there are fixes available, so you can head out to the Adobe site or inside your Adobe products and make sure that you're keeping those up to date. Some phishing campaigns, we're going to throw up on the screen here the Cisco WebEx campaign. Now, we've talked about this before, and this particular phishing campaign continues to evolve. There's a view of the latest Cisco WebEx phishing email sample that we've got up here on the screen. So Cisco WebEx is obviously it's a video and team collaboration system. This particular email is requesting you to click on an embedded login hyperlink. And again, any execution or interaction with these types of emails is definitely going to result in something bad happening. Either malware is going to be installed on your computer. Understand too that some of the stuff doesn't initiate right away. So some of these malware, once the malware gets on your computer, there's actually timers, and it may take. We've seen some of this stuff sit for months before it executes. So you just have to be very careful in these types of emails, and just making sure that you're aware, and that you're giving your employees security awareness training so that they know what to look for. As we go through here, the Zeus Sphinx Banking Trojan campaign has been released. It's a experience trying to get you to interact with some coronavirus type activity. Again, as we've reported, the hackers taking advantage of the COVID-19 situation and trying to get you to click on things is becoming pretty successful. Obviously, it's a hot topic, and if you want that type of information, certainly seek a media outlet. Nobody's going to be emailing you blindly information about COVID-19, so just be very aware of that. Let's see here, and I think that's it for this week. So these are some of the highlights. Now next week, we've got a webinar involving deep packet inspection on the 19th. It's on Tuesday. Kyle will put the link to the webinar here in the notes. But be sure you attend that, whether you use Fortinet technology or not. It's very important to understand what deep packet inspection is, or what's called SSL inspection. It's important to understand what it is and how it impacts you. And more importantly, there's free pizza. So Secure Cyber Defense will be sending pizza and pop to your location or to your house, whatever you like. So I encourage you to sign up for this and get some information about what DPI is and how to set it up and what it means for your environment. Well, that's it for this week. I appreciate your time. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.